Welcome to Ownership. My name is Wes. Today we're going to continue with our segment. We call this segment The Call to Ownership. All we do here, our intention here is to go from state to state across the country to remind folks that home ownership is very important. To remind them that home ownership is one of the very important steps that they need to take during their working years. Today we're going to the state of Oklahoma, one of the states in the middle of the country. Now, before we go to the state of Oklahoma, I want to ask you for a quick favor. Please, just take 1 second and subscribe to this channel. It will be greatly appreciated. Now, the state of Oklahoma is the 20th most populous state in the country. Its population is close to 4 million people. The average value of a home in the state of Oklahoma is $150,000 compared to $374,000, which is the national average. So the state of Oklahoma is less expensive than the national average. So homeownership rate in the state of Oklahoma is 65.4% compared to 65.6%, which is the national average. But for African Americans, for blacks and African Americans in the state of Oklahoma, the homeownership rate is only 40%. The cost of living in the state of Oklahoma is 83.7%. which is less than national index, which is 100. So homes in Oklahoma should, as we see in the previous slides, homes are less expensive, much more affordable in the state of Oklahoma than the rest of the country. Okay. So this is the time for the call. I want to speak to the folks in the state of Oklahoma. And now I understand I don't have much subscribers in my channel. But my intention is to speak to one person. If I can find one person who can get value out of this, my work here is done. If you live in the state of Oklahoma, you are an adult. You've been working for 5-10 years. Let's say, or you have a family, 5-10 years. You were not in school during those times, going to school some and working. You are a full-time employer. You are a full-time employee working. You had no serious medical problem that was really restraining your life, taking all of your savings, or you didn't have a child or a spouse that was going through some difficult financial medical problem that was draining your savings. And during those 5 to 10 years, you were not saving to buy a house, so you don't have all the funds ready to buy a house. Your credit is not ready to go. You are not prepared to buy a house in the next few months. Let's say if home ownership was not even part of your plan, if you did not believe that you could buy a house, okay, if somehow, somewhere, somebody make you believe that home ownership was not the path, today I am here to tell you that you were told the wrong story. Okay, you can buy a house. Okay, home ownership is within your reach. If you have a full-time job, home ownership is within your reach. You can actually buy a house. The second fact is that home ownership is the most important pathway for any family to build wealth in this country. So home ownership is a good thing to buy a house. Okay, a house, a primary home, is an investment. It's a good investment for any individuals, but more important for those with lower income. Now, I want you to do me a big favor. I don't know where you are economically. I don't know where your credit is, okay? I don't know what else is happening in your life. You might not be able to buy a house in the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. What I want you to do for me, I want you to plant the seed of ownership in your family. I'm asking you for a favor. Please plant the seed of ownership in your family. Tell your children that your family today has been called to ownership. You've been living your life paying that rent every single month. Maybe your parents, maybe you saw your parents do it, paying that rent every single month, or your aunts and your uncle. That's all you've seen. I am asking you today to plant the seed of ownership in your family, to get your family ready towards the path of ownership. Tell your children, tell your parents, tell your friends that your family has been called out of rentalship to ownership today. Maybe you won't be able to achieve it, but if you plant the seed today, your children will be able to do it. I don't know how old you are, okay? If you don't have much savings, okay, even if it's $500, open a bank account, put it there. Call it building fund, call it housing fund. If something happened to you, you pass away, your children will take that money to continue the road, so your family can move from this path of renting towards ownership. In America today, about 65% of the population actually own their own home. But I believe in this land of opportunity, 80% of the population should own their own house. For African Americans, the number is much less. Somewhere around 40, maybe 41, 42%, which is not acceptable. You know, at least at this point, at least half of the African American population should own their own house. But in my opinion, it should be 80%. If you work a full-time job for 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, you should be a homeowner, because home ownership is the single most important lever for wealth in this country. This is your call today. I want you to please make sure you plant the seed. Make sure today this seed is planted in your family, because your family has been called out of rentalship to ownership today. This is the show for today. Thank you.